again. Change the intro because apparently you should make these things all attractive and exciting and make people want to watch it, because I'm not bothering with YouTube likes, as you may gather. This is just a documented history of the restoration of my RT. For those of you who've recently joined, just to explain the origins of this, I've had this RT now coming up for 40 years. And I really wanted to make a start on it now because it's been in this barn for about 30 odd years. And I did a lot of work on it back in the 1990s, early 1990s. Then I started my own bus company, and I didn't get a chance to finish it off because Sullivan Buses came along, and it's consumed 25 years of my life. It is gone really quickly, believe you me. So anyway, come up here last year, had a tidy up of the barn because it was full of rubbish in here, and I'm now remaking a start on the RT. So that's for the benefit of those of you who've recently joined us. These videos are not intended to be a professional guide to how to restore a bus. I am actually learning on the task of doing it, but there's a good network of RT owners out there who have done these things, and you can refer back to them. One of them I've referred to quite frequently as Billericay Dave. He's done a number of RTs and a number of RFs. That's a single deck bus that was around in the 1950s. So he's very experienced, and I've also got a good friend of mine, Roy Gould, who is equally knowledgeable on the restoration and running of RTs. So the process this week is for more rubbing down of the panels that I took out last week. As I said last week, I was really nervous about taking the wiring out the cab. It took a great leap of faith to do that. The reason being is that you lose the where the wires go, because you've got the wires go from one end of the bus to the other, and you need to know which one's which, so you lose track of what goes where. So I have a diagram. I've also got in here is an audit that I did of counting up the number of cables in each piece of conduit and then working out where they went. So this will help me make the loom. I'm not going to make the loom this weekend, and I'm probably not going to make it next weekend, because hopefully next weekend I'll be painting up the bits that I've took out the cab. So the intention being is once they're painted, they will then harden off at the back of the shed just over there, and then I can get on with making the looms on the large bench over the other side. So that's the plan for this weekend. Thank you very much for those of you who've already commented on these videos. I do appreciate it. It's quite nice because I get some comments underneath the Facebook stuff, and I also get the odd email here and there. So thank you very much for that. So sit back, enjoy. Let's see how we get on this weekend. Right, so this weekend is all about preparation. I've got to prepare all of this stuff which came out of the cab ready to go back in. One of the biggest features, other than the wing, is this cab door, which requires rubbing down completely and then stripping out internally so I can get to all the little wood bits inside. However, a problem emerged as I started to strip the thing down, but I'll talk about that in a minute. But once all the paint had been removed, like magic, here we go, all the paint's gone and there are all the bits from inside. So let's jump into it and I'll tell you what went wrong. This is what remains of the driver's cab door in its flat pack form. As can be seen, it's completely dismantled. I wasted about 2.5 hours on this yesterday. I'd started rubbing down the paintwork on there to get all the final green off and also some of the brown and black on the inside off. And I noticed a screw emerging as I was rubbing the thing down. And I thought, okay, what I'll do is I'll take that top panel off you see there, the one with a hole in it for the windows. And so I spent about 2 hours, I suppose, getting all the screws off, dismantling it. They wouldn't give up easy. Anyway, it's sod's law that that panel doesn't come off easily. In fact, what it is it's folded round inside. And I thought, when I noticed the folds on it, I thought it was just doubled back on itself like they'd done with the beading on the upper deck windows. But it's not, it's folded back onto another piece of metal, and that wasn't going to give up easy either. So I thought, right, rather than damage it, I'll stop there and come up with some other idea. So I've now got to reverse the process and put the whole thing back together again today. But dismantling it, as you can see, there's all the little bits from inside there. These are all the interior parts. You can see that's the woodwork that sits around inside the window. There's a metal strip there just between the two bits of wood. That sits across where you see that grey primer, because you remember what I said last time. I'm going to blow them in before I start putting bits of metal back on, because it prevents corrosion, and it also makes it easier, I think, for the paint when it goes on afterwards. So anyway, that's the cab door. I have got this pile of stuff still to work my way through, but well, I suppose we get in there, but it's not an exciting thing doing panels, I must admit. It's not an exciting thing doing this. It's just, well, it has to be done. If you don't do it properly, it's not going to look good. So there we are. Okay, well, having sprayed in that seam there, you can see me applying some mastic. Unfortunately, the type of mastic that London Transport used to use is no longer available, I'm told. So we have to use this. It's very similar to a sort of a bathroom sealant. This stuff, I've experimented a little bit. Unfortunately, it is silicone, and I like to avoid silicone because silicone can make the paint go a little bit spotty, basically. But nonetheless, it works. So here we are, speeded up now. I'm putting that bit of beading back that you saw earlier on. Now, the reason for, perhaps I didn't make it clear in my dialogue that I filmed in the barn, that screw, like I say, it's RT disease. Screws start shaking their way out all sorts of places, and normally it's a sign that you've got a problem with some wood rot behind. And my thought was, well, I'll investigate and see if I need to repair the wood or whatever, or best case scenario is put a bit of doweling in there. Unfortunately, as you may have guessed, I couldn't separate the panel from the woodwork. So the best thing to do was to stop on it. Unfortunately, when that screw came out, as you may have saw in the earlier picture, it only came out about half of it, leaving the other half inside the frame of the bus. So yeah, a bit of a problem, but I just wish I could put the door together this quick. Okay, so let's move on. Having dealt with the door, and getting it ready for respray, which I'll start to do hopefully at the next opportunity. This is the turret that the indicator switch sits on. It's on the offhand side of the cab. Now see that bit of red there? That's fiberglass filler. The number of these that I've seen where the edges just sort of break off, they really are in fairly poor condition. Also, someone pointed out that it looks a perfect shape for a bulbous horn. Well, I very much doubt it was ever that. So that's that under repair. We'll see more of that next time. Moving on now, this is the headlamp surround. Now, thankfully, through the wonders of modern technology, we can whiz through this, but I'm going to have to sit here and try and work out that a scraper is not very good for scraping paint off on a round thing. I had actually put paint stripper on there the previous week, but as you can see, it hadn't penetrated through. So out come the paint stripper can again. That's my favourite paint kettle, by the way, on the right hand side there. So paint stripper had to go on it. But I will assure you, and I won't bore you with all of that, but I did manage to get all that paint off by state of play. So this munched into the small pile of stuff that was on the floor in front of my Titan. Okay, time to do something different now. I'd already paint stripped this, as you can see. This is a nice easy one to paint strip. So I just need to finish this one off now and get off the remains of paint stripper. And also I'd run some 400 grade paper over it just to make sure it's nicely abraded, ready for the undercoat that I'll put on it. So anyway, that's the bit that sits just below the cab window. So yeah, that's ready now. That'll be dried next week, ready to be painted. Here we go. Right, the wing. Now, this had a lot of black paint on it. I was quite surprised. So I imagine that they got it from Aldenham at some point when they were repairing the bus. I imagine Aldenham had lots of parts available for them. So there we go. That's the wing. at long last, the pile is emptying out, and there's only a few things left to do now. One includes the speedo box. So a bit like the speedo box, we can speed this thing up. Could you imagine an RT doing 50 mile an hour? They were somewhat optimistic, weren't they? That lovely little sticker on there as well. I'm going to have to get that replaced, obviously. I need to order up one of them from whoever's got them. Probably Squirrel Preservation, I imagine, may well have them. So anyway, yeah, so I need to strip this down. I'll take the speedo out and all the other bits and pieces ready for it to be rubbed down. And what I'll do is I'll spray that brown. That's a lovely brown. I really do like that. It reminds me of chocolate and makes me feel hungry when I'm up the barn. Okay, so what is this unusual piece of kit? It's very heavy. I may have a story to tell about that at some point in the future, but probably not now. But anyway, this is the air intake for the compressor. And on the left-hand side there, as you can see, that little bit with a vent in it, that's the intake mechanism. It should have a filter in there as well, but wasn't one there. I did admit I cheated a bit here because I actually loosened off these bolts, which is why I'm able to get them off with that adjustable. I did it just to avoid you having to watch me getting all my spanners out and trying to get that off with an adjustable, with a socket set. But anyway, it is now dismantled quite quickly, as you can see. Now the top's going to give me a bit of a trouble, so I'll get the screwdriver out. But anyway, quickly and moving on, this larger part that we can see used to have methanol in it. So the reason for that is that air systems on buses draw in a lot of moisture. So wherever moisture's in the atmosphere gets drawn in, and then gets drawn into through the compressor and into the main tank. What then happens is that in the winter time, in the depths of winter, it freezes, causing all sorts of unfortunate problems. So these things used to be filled up with methanol. Methanol has now been banned. You can't put it in them anymore, but it's a brilliant idea, because I certainly wish we still were able to do it today, because the amount of our modern buses that suffer from frozen doors and frozen suspension, all sorts of things, because they've got really tiny pipes, unlike this thing, which has got great big pipes that are bigger than the things that run into your house. Unfortunately, modern buses, you can't do it, and I might try one day getting some methanol for it and seeing what happens. But yeah, a lovely little idea, and a great throwback from, I suppose, the 1940s and the 1950s, when they actually thought about these things. They don't anymore, obviously. Right, a bit like a dodgy magician and abracadabra, it's all gone. Anyway, yes, so there's going to be more, I'm sure. Right, well, so having made a mess of, having sorted all the other stuff out, it's now time for me to clamber into the cab and do this. Wasn't a particular job I was looking forward to be quite honest with you, because the cab is quite a confined space and there's all these bits and pieces laying around. But what I'm doing is I'm not using a particularly aggressive grade of paper on there. I can't remember which this one was, but I started, I think, with 1000 and it didn't even make an impression on it. So I, for these bits at the top where the conduit was, I've used something slightly better. But anyway, yeah, so that finished off my Sunday, rubbing down the cab. I haven't done this before, and I was really quite surprised at how little paint there actually was on it. So I imagine when they've gone into Aldenham, they didn't paint the ceilings on them because it's quite thin. And in some places where you see that nice grey where the bell was, you see that little box there, that almost looks brand new, but that was, I imagine they haven't painted it, haven't done anything significant to the bus. but that was how it was built 70 years ago. So it's survived quite well because it's sat underneath a panel, so it looks really good. As you can see, all my nice new wires are hanging out at the front there. They're the ones that run through the blind box. That includes, as I said in the previous episode, the horn, the indicators, the bell push, and the power supply for the little lamps. But the next project, once I've got all this done, is to prep up this this black first. And then I'll probably spray that. I think probably the easiest thing to spray it. And then move on to doing the brown, which is just below. So that's all fairly sound, that brown. So that's going to be a task for next week. One I'm probably not going to look too forward to be honest with you. But anyway, here we hey-ho. It needs to be done. Right, so thank you very much for watching. And that is a wrap, as they say in the film industry. So thanks very much for sticking around. If you've watched it this far, thank you very much. And don't forget, please leave me some comments. It spurs me on to carry on with this thing. Thanks very much, and goodbye.